Back to the next lesson in our little Space Chase Year 9 project. In this lesson we are going to be looking at creating two different types of logos, and hopefully then by the end of this lesson you'll be able to upload them to the team and you will be able to use one if not both of them in your website. So to get started we are going to be using the same software as we used before. We're going to be using Adobe Spark. So to get into Adobe Spark you'll need to visit Hub, log into Hub and then click on Adobe Spark to get everything set up and ready. Don't forget it does take a few moments normally to log in, so if it is taking in a little bit of longer time just leave it and you'll be away to go. Now before I go through anything that we need to make, I'm just going to go through a little bit about logo design, because logo design is quite important and logo design has changed over the years. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of history here now. So if you look at this first example here, this is what the Amazon logo was many years ago, and you can see it's got Amazon.com on it, and it was made mainly of blue, and you can see it's got some text on the bottom which isn't really readable. It does actually say Earth's biggest bookstore, because in its early days Amazon was only a bookstore. It didn't sell anything else other than books, but you can kind of see here the text is a little bit hard to read, so that's one thing to take into consideration when we are designing our logos. We need to think about the colours that might clash and the colours that go with each other as well. Now the Amazon logo then did change, and this is certainly one I remember a little bit more. So you can see Amazon there. You've got a black background with white text which is very easy to read, as you can see, and you've got that little swipe then underneath which is in a completely different colour, and again it's fairly easy to read, it's fairly distinctive and it does stand out. And we come then to the sort of modern day logo which we all know now. There is actually a hidden meaning in this logo. The hidden meaning is Amazon, which is the A to Z. So basically they're saying that they are covering everything on their website. So everything from A to Z. So everything that you can think of will obviously be covered under here. So that's basically just a really quick introduction there, showing you how logos have changed. And these are massive companies, you know, Amazon's one of the biggest companies in the world, but their logos developed and evolved over time. And here's another one. Here's another example of how logos have changed. Now, you can kind of see with this, this is McDonald's logo development over the years. So you can see this is how McDonald's used to look in the 1940s, 1948. That was their first logo, and then it changed to McDonald's famous hamburgers. And you can see that is 1948 to 53. Then it went again, changed to a sort of roundish logo, and then from the 1960s onwards we had these golden arches, the big M here, and from there on that has been prominent and it's been one of the big things throughout all of the logos. And I know it has evolved again, but this is probably one of the nicest things to show you, because obviously you can see how the logos change over the years. And it's quite interesting to see. Look at the colours from sort of 1968 onwards. Look at the colours that have been used. The M has always been yellow, and before sort of 1960 there was no yellow in this logo at all. Now as you look at the more modern logo, it's almost gone sort of they've gone for a more simplistic approach, so they've reduced the amount of text that's on there, so you can just see the M there for obviously instant recognition. So one thing that I want you to just look at is look at a number of colours which are used. The majority of logos will stick to no more than about 3 colours. So you can see with the majority of these McDonald's logos, you've got 3 colours there, you've got 2 colours there, 3 colours there, 3 colours there, 2 there, 1 there. So most of them will stick to that. And if I take you to another one, we've got another logo here which is FedEx, and you've probably never noticed this. This is a delivery company. They've got a little built-in arrow there, look, which is built into their logo. So, and again, this is created using 2 colours. But with this logo, although there's no sort of imagery with it, it is mainly made up of fonts, which is quite nice and easy to see. So that gives you a really quick introduction to some sort of logo design. The last part, just before we go, is the Tour de France. Now you can see with the Tour de France, there's a hidden bicycle, and this logo is slightly different to the last because this is mainly made up of text, whereas this here does have some text and it has a sort of, I don't want to call it an icon because it is literally just a circle, but you can see the O here in the tour is made like a little bicycle wheel, and the U there is almost like a bicycle frame, and the R is the person who's on the bike, which is quite a clever logo when you look at the overall design of it. But what you've got to be careful is this. You've got things like the Resident Evil logo, which is, arguably a nice logo. But when you look at that, look at the design of that. Is that anything to do and telling you that is a game? Maybe not. Likewise, here's another one. Smashing Solicitors. That looks more like a club or a nightclub rather than, say, a solicitor. So you've got to be careful how and what fonts you use and how your logo looks. I mean, if you look at this, it does sort of work in some ways. If you were a top DJ, maybe this would look good. But obviously, probably for a proper solicitors, you wouldn't want something like that. Now, it's something that I need to go through with you about colours, because colours are very, very, very important within logos. And you can see there's a range of colours here that I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about. So red is generally for sort of bold, standout logos, right? Sometimes it's used for warnings, right? But they seem to be sort of very standout, energetic, stimulating logos. And you can see there, look, Coca-Cola there, Kellogg's, Lego. These brands here use mainly predominantly red. Orange is typically friendly, cheerful, fun. And you can see there, look, you've got Nickelodeon. Amazon is also included there because they've got that little bit of orange there. You've got various different things like Gulf, which is a petroleum company. Crush, which is a drink. You've got yellow. Yellow is typically for optimism. You've got Nikon there, which is a camera manufacturer. Shell, which is a petrol company, is one of them in Pontarliss. You've got M there for the McDonald's. If you look here, green is supposed to be sort of balance, harmony, freshness. So you've got Monster Energy there. I wouldn't say that's freshness but it is definitely energy. Definitely it will give you, but I wouldn't say it's going to be harmony and health typically with that. If we look then at blue is normally trustworthy, strong. So if you think Oral-B is your typical sort of dental care brand, so they obviously want to be trustworthy and trusting. Dell, big computer manufacturer, likewise with HP, they obviously want you to trust them. Ford is in there, I think that's the Ford logo, but they are in there as well. So you've got purple, which is seen as wise, creative, imaginative. So Cadbury's is in there, and then you've got black as well. You've got Audi, Prada, BlackBerry, the old phone manufacturer. So you can see different colours will invoke different feelings and different ideas. When you are building your logos, and we're going to go through a few ideas now as we design and develop, you need to basically take into account, try to stick to no more than about 3 colours when you design your logo. Okay, so that's going to give you a really quick introduction to logo design. Let's go back to Adobe Spark. Now then, the first thing that we're going to do in Adobe Spark is we are going to start a new canvas. I'm going to click on the plus here, which is in the top left hand corner, and we are going to click on custom size graphic. Now after I've clicked on custom size graphic, it's going to give me this option like we had before, and we are going to set the width and the height. Now this is important. If you would like a rectangular logo, you need to change the width and the height. Let me give you an example. If I set the width and the height to 500, this is going to give me a square style logo. Let's say, for example, if I want a rectangular logo, well, I change the width to something a little bit bigger, say 1000 by 500, or I could even do 1000 by 200, depending on what I wanted to do. Your logo is your choice. I generally do not mind what you make. In my example, so I am going to be making, the first one's going to be almost like a square logo. The next one then will be a circular logo. But if you want to make a rectangular logo, you can, no problem at all. Once you've decided on your height and your width, I need you to click on next and wait for it to be created. Now what I would do is I pause the video here and I'd like you to get your logo canvas ready. I don't mind what shape you do. I've gone for 500 by 500 because I'm going to have a sort of squarish shape at the moment. So pause this video now, and can you get the Adobe Spark ready, please? What you're going to do is change this here, the name of the project, which is right at the top, and we're going to call it something like Space Chase Logo 1, and press enter. Now what that does is it makes sure that our work is going to be saved to the cloud. If anything does go wrong, we've always got backup. So I'm going to start by clicking on the X here, and we're going to now start to build our logo. Now I'm going to be making two logos. My first logo is going to be probably just standard, and then I'm going to show you some advanced features then in the second. So the first thing that we are going to look at doing is I'm going to click on the icons, which is on the left hand side, and when I click on that, you can see it's got a range of different things for me. Now I can search for any type of icon here. So if I was to search for, say, a square and press enter, you can see it's come up now with a lot of different types of things for me. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in a shape here, and we are going to change the color of it. Now you've got to be careful with this. If I were to add something like this shape here, which is a square, the outer side of it will allow me to color, but I wouldn't be able to change the inner color. In order for me to change the full square, I need to insert something like this, because it's basically filled with color. Now you can either have something like this, which is obviously fully square, or you can have something like this, which is square where you've got rounded sort of corners on there. It is completely your choice, but you don't have to stick with a square. You could put a rectangle in, a triangle, a circle, I don't mind. The first logo that I'm going to make is going to have a square in it, and then the second one I'm going to use a circle. So I'm going to click on this square, and it'll be placed in here for me. Now you'll notice when it's been placed in, it basically is put right in the center. So I'm going to just move it out, and I'm going to have then it taking up most of the space. Now by default it's going to choose a color, which I don't like that color, so I'm going to change the color. And the way I'm going to change the color is by clicking on the color option on the side, and if I click on that, I can then choose a new color. Now like we've done in the banner, you've got an option here to change the shade of color, and then the actual color itself can be changed on the slider here. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to go for a deep dark purple, I could choose purple on the bottom, and then I can use this slider just to choose a purple color here. Now as I'm happy, all I have to do is click off, and it is set and it's away to go. Now if you wanted to combine shapes, so add in another shape, all you've got to do is click on the shape again, and you can see it's added in another one for me. And what I can do is, if I were to add in the same shape but do it just slightly smaller, I can almost give it an effect like it's a style going around. Now you can do that, no problem at all, and if we wanted to change the color again, click on the color, and then you can choose a slightly different shade should you wish to. Let's say, for example, you've made a mistake and you want to delete it. Well, that's easy. Click on the icon itself and then click the bin button, and that removes it from the canvas. Then what I'm going to ask you to do now is pause the video here, and I'd like you to first of all name your logo, give it a good name, call it logo 1 or whatever you want to call it, and then add in an icon of your choice. It doesn't have to be a square, it could be a rectangle, triangle, circle, pentagon, octagon, anything you want, but I need you to add in an icon now, please. The next part of our little logo creation, we are going to be adding in a piece of text. Now you're going to have to put the name of your brand, whatever it's going to be, and I need you to think and use the same brand that you used for your banner. So if you can't remember, pause the video, go back and have a look at your banner, which you should have put it in your Teams, fingers crossed, and you should then remember it. So I'm going to add in my piece of text by clicking on the T at the top, and again, same as before, we have these templates here, but I'm not going to use one. I'm going to click on this add your text, and then I'm going to put in Space Chase Game. Something boring. Hopefully you've got something better than me. So once I've added in the name, I'm going to click on done, and you can see it's put the name in at the bottom. Now, you don't have to have the name like I've got it here. Oops. You could have the name underneath. So if I wanted to, I can move this down. And you notice I put these drag handles here. This will allow me to stretch out this text box and make it a little bit bigger, should I wish to. Now I'm going to move my text down to the bottom, but you can see instantly there's a bit of a problem. The text here is white or really light creamy, and the background there is white as well, so you're not really going to see it. So there's two options you've got. You can either change the colour here, which you can. So if I want to go for a darkish type of colour, you can there, and you can change the text to make it a little bit easier to read, and you can change the size there should you wish to. Now you can play around with the glows and the outlines should you wish, although remember this tool here that you used before, we're going to use this again. So I'm quite happy with this font at the moment, but I'm just going to see some ideas to see what the software can suggest. So if I click on this, actually it's remarkable, the first idea it's come up with is the same sort of thing that I've chosen. That's fine. So as I go through these, don't worry about it changing the colours, we can sort that out later. But as we go through, it's coming through and thinking of different things. So again, you may want to play around with this to see what it'll actually do for you, to see if it'll make something better than what you actually thought of. If you do find there's nothing that you like, just keep on clicking the undo button on the top until it goes back to something that you do like a lot. Now I'm just going to go back to something like this here, because this is what I like for this first logo, and I'm going to leave it at that. So the next thing you need to do for this is I need you to click on the text tool here, click on add your text, think of the name for your game company and put that into the bottom, and then, or top, wherever you put in your logo, and then change the style so it suits and matches your design, please. Pause the video now and add in a little bit of text, please. The next part of this logo design, we are going to look at adding in either an icon or a digital asset. So I'm going to start by looking at icons first, and I've just done a very quick search for a rocket. Now I'm going to click on a rocket that I want to add in, so I'm going to click on that one there. And as you can see, it's added in this rocket and it's chosen a specific colour. Now as with the banner, you can see these guidelines which come up when I try and move the icon around, and if I do need to rotate it, there is a rotation option here where I can rotate it ever so slightly, or if you wanted to flip it as an example, there's a flip horizontal and a flip vertical there should you wish to do so. Now if you need to change the colour, click on the colour option, and as you can see, you can change then the colour around to whatever it is you should desire. Now with an icon, icons are quite nice as they are fairly sort of basic vectors and they stand out, but you might decide, well, I want to see what a digital asset looks like. So I'm just going to click on my icon and delete it for now, and we're going to click on digital asset and we're going to look for rocket. Now one thing you might find is that the images that come up might not entirely be exactly what you want. So if I click on this now as an example, and you can see I've still got the same rotate tool, and I can make it bigger or smaller, but you notice I haven't got the option to change its colour like I have with the icon. So what you can do with this, if you did want to change the colour of it, is you can use a filter, and you can see there when we colorize the filter, it'll go through a preset number of colours for you should you wish to do so. Now if you find that it doesn't actually work for you and you don't like it, then stick with the standard icons. Now there's no harm in you adding more than one icon or more than one digital asset to your logo. For example, if I wanted to, and I want to look for stars this time, I might add in something like this. And what I'm going to do is I can send this back one so it goes behind, and I'm going to duplicate it a few times. So as I've duplicated it once, and then I'm going to move this out of the way for a little second, and then I'm going to duplicate it again. Now this is where you've got to be really careful. Now as I'm duplicating it, I'm trying to click on the item that I duplicated, but as you saw there, I made a bit of a mistake and I clicked on the background. So this is just something you've got to be aware of. Again, I've made the same mistake. I've clicked on the icon itself and not on the background that I wanted to. Now, as you can see, I've managed to click on these. If I hold on the shift, I can then highlight them all and I can effectively group them. And if I click on the group option here, I can then group it, so I can now make this one seemingly large icon here. Now, once you've made your first logo and you're happy with it, what I'm going to ask you to do, like we did before, I'm going to ask you to save the logo. So if you click on the download button and then download as PNG, which is the top one there, if you click on start download, this time it'll probably ask you if you wanted to do a solid color or transparent. I'm going to click on transparent, and then it's now downloaded into my downloads folder. So that now is ready for me to use. And like before, what I'm going to ask you to do is on your team, so if I just get my team back up here, on my team I'm going to click on add work, and then I'm going to click on upload, and then you can see here I've got my Space Chase logo 1, and this now is going to upload into my team. Lovely. So I'll be able to send that into my teacher. Lovely. So that's my first logo done, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do anything else with that. But now I'm going to move on to my second logo. So to start the second logo, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this SP post here, which is at the top, this icon, and it takes me back to the main screen. We're going to click on the plus, and again, I'm going to go down to custom size graphic. I'm going to set the width to 500 and the height to 500 again. Now, if you did want to make a rectangular logo, change the width to something a little bit bigger. Once you've done, click on next and then wait for Spark to come up. Now, I'm not going to spend as much time going through each of the tools this time. I'm going to go through a second design of a logo because you will have used most of the features that I'm going to go through. So if you want to pause the video now and get your Spark ready for the second logo, please. This logo, what we're going to do is I've just added in the name Space Chase Logo 2, press enter, so everything is going to be saved. Now I'm not going to spend too much time going through this logo with you. I'm just going to make it, and I'm going to you'll see how I'm doing it in some of the tools that I'm going to use. So I'm going to click on the icons, and this time I'm going to look for a circle, and I'm going to use a standard circle here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to move that down to its center, and we're going to change the color by clicking on the color, and I'm going to go for a purplish. So I'm sticking to the same theme and colors that I've used in the previous logo. Now next I'm going to look at adding in a rectangle, and I want to get a rectangle with rounded corners on it. So I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I might not actually find what I need here. Ah, there we are, it's there. So I'm going to use this one, and there we are, that's pulled in, and I'm just going to drag that out. Now don't worry, when you do move this out, you can see now the sort of corners have sort of stretched over. The way around this could be to potentially do something like this. So if I move that there, and I'm just going to move it over a little bit. If I duplicate it and then add that in, that kind of gets rid of my issue of the corners not rounding properly. Now if I select them both and group them, I should be able to change the color on them. Maybe I can't. Okay, so let's ungroup them and go back to them as they were. So I'm going to click on the color, and this time we're going to go for a purple, a light purple, and that one again is going to be the same color. So I'm going to go for a light purple. Now one thing I haven't explained to you is this color tool, this color picker. So if I click on the color picker and then hover over a color, it then picks the exact shade that I want and puts it in for me like so. Now at the moment I've got a lovely space there for my name. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to click on add text. So Space Chase Game is the name of my company, and that's going to go in, and let's expand that so that it goes in like so. Now I don't really like that font, so let's try a few new styles. Let's see what it comes up with, see what works. Did actually like one that just came up, so let's see if there's any more ideas. Okay, so I'm just going to go back one. I like that one. I don't like the font color, so let's make the font color change. So I'm going to click on the text color here and put it into white. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's go to 48, and judging by that, let's move that out a little bit there. Okie dokie. So the next thing we're going to do now is we are going to add in a digital asset here. So I'm going to click on digital asset, and I'm going to look for space again. And I've used this image before, but I did like it, so I'm going to use a slightly different one this time. See what it does. There you are. Now, I don't mind that too much. I actually quite like that, but I don't know whether that does suit. So let's go back to icons and let's look for planets, just to see if the icons gives us something better. And maybe, so let me delete this digital asset and I'm going to put this icon in instead. And I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in a rocket. But this time with a rocket, I'm going to make it really small, put that in, so it's there, and let's add some stars in. Tell you what, I'm going to use this one here, this circular one here. So let me move that down. Let's add these in. Now I'm going to have to be a little bit creative with how I do this, because I don't want the stars to interfere here too much. So I'm just going to make that out a little bit, pull that one out a little bit more, move that down a bit, and then we're going to send it backwards. Layer order, go back, layer order, go back. There we are. And what I'm going to do, just to finish this off, this icon, I'm going to change this and we're going to make it into this purple. But I'm going to make it a slightly darker shade probably, so it blends in more with that. And there you are. That now, I am happy with that logo. In fact, I like that logo better than the first logo. So again, what do I need to do? Well, I don't want to do anything else to this. Now I'm happy with it. I'm going to click on the download. I'm going to save it as a PNG. I'm going to save it as transparent. And there you are. It's now in my downloads folder again. So this time when I go to my team, I click on add work. I go into my upload, and then I can then upload Space Chase Logo 2, click open, click done, and I know then it's saved within my work there for the team. Okay, so that is very quickly how I've built my second logo. Hopefully you have followed most of that. If you wanted to, obviously you can pause, rewind. This is your video. You can make what you need. All I'm asking you to do is create a lovely little logo for me, or two logos rather, for me please, and make sure they're downloaded and then you save them into your team.